Hello, friends. Why does my voice sound so tiny? I need to buy another one of those microfiber rag things. Bruh. Why did this be doing this to me? Because we'll wait for that to refocus. I look kind of like this camera better, but well, I like this angle better. But this is I need to change my YouTube header. I want it to look differently. Once I find this tab, then I will start talking. For real. I don't know why I can't find what I'm looking for though. There we go. Okay, that's that. It's almost 9 o'clock. And before I do that, let me check the NBA scores. 76ers, usually you don't root for the team that beat your team, but anybody but the Knicks. Philadelphia, I need you to do one more thing for me. Really, this is really my first request, so I do need y'all to lock in. The score is currently 37-28 Knicks. Let me look at this box score. Paul George has 9 points on 3 for 6 shooting. He's hit 3 threes. Period, Paul. Jalen Brunson is 6 for 9 with 14 points, 2 assists. OG Anunoby, 9 points, 3 for 3 from the floor. Cat got 5 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. I really need him to not be a Knick anymore so I can root for him properly. The 76ers bench is currently giving us nothing, girl. But our expectations shouldn't be all that high for them anyway. Anyways. Bless me. I actually kind of have a funny story about that, but that's not why I'm here. I'm fine like again, highlight. Okay, let's chat. First, I really want to talk about the Chicago Sky. Like, that's actually, thank you in the chat. Actually, want to talk about, we're going to start talking about the Chicago Sky because there are a lot of things that is being said right now about them. And I really hate to have to defend them because they're not, like, why I like them as a team and I have high hopes for what Tyler Marsh can do. I don't know. I hate having to, like, defend people from narrative, and honestly I want it to be a thing that I stop doing. Like, I want to stop caring about what other people think about these opinions. But I think the thing that really bothers me is that, like, people say stuff all the time and it's just not true, right? Like, they're not thinking through their opinion. And especially when they don't like a thing, they are often wanting to just run with the first thing they think of when they see this when whatever happens. So in the case of the Chicago Sky, like, anytime they make any type of move, the people who apparently hate them are the people who are the loudest um about their moves. And me, again, I am a person who thinks that, like, we should talk about things that we actually care about. We should all promote things that we like, because talking about the things that you like will often just make your life better. Like, you should not be waking up every day pissing yourself off. And so that's my soapbox on that. But let's talk about the Chicago Sky. They have Today they got their roster down to 12. I actually tweeted about it. I'm pretty sure I put on Blue Sky. Let me look. Ooh, people are not happy about this Met Gala stuff. Anyway, I don't need to share my screen. Y'all can hear what I'm about to say. Okay, so the Chicago Sky today, they've gotten their roster down to 12. So the 12 are Rachel Bannum, Camilla Cardoso, Dejanay Carrington, Elizabeth Williams, Courtney Vandersloot, Isaiah Stevens, Skylar Diggins, Herkia Jackson, JC Sheldon, Gabriella Jaquez, Sydney Taylor, and lo and behold, Natasha Cloud has finally found a home. So those are the Chicago Sky 12, and they had to waive Maddie Westbeld and Aisha Coulibaly, and Haley Van Lith, 3 of their 4 draft picks from the 2025 season. And that's the first thing I want to kind of talk about, because a lot of people are kind of, because they no longer have those picks, people are like, this is bad asset management, or like this Chicago is like going all in on old hoes basically, and they don't have any young talent, and just, like, again, narratives that don't actually make sense when you think about it. First of all, Chicago doesn't have development. They don't have a young core. They have Camilla Cardoso, Rakia Jackson, JC Sheldon. Mind you, all 3 of them, there's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th pick from the 2024 draft. All 3 of them are entering year 3. You got Azarae Stevens, who's maybe on year, what was that, 2019? So she's probably on year 6 or 7. She's 2019 or 2020? She's probably on year 6 or 7, still young. They drafted Gabriella Jaquez and kept her. That's 5. Sydney Taylor is also very young. I think she came out in 2023 or 2022. Let me confirm that. Sydney Taylor. Not a white lady. She finished. Sydney Taylor is 24 years old, and She graduated from... Why is it so complicated to see? Like, what the world? She got okay. She graduated from Louisville. Oh my gosh, she was on that Louisville team that got upset by Middle Tennessee. Dang, she is that young. Okay, so she graduated in 2024. So 2 seasons ago, she went undrafted, obviously. Um, and so again, we're now up to what, 5 players that are under 30. Is Azare under 30? Let me actually Google that too. I don't think Azare is that old. I feel like she's like 28, but oh, she is 30. She's exactly 30. She just turned 30. Okay. Long story short, they have a young core. So we don't have to do this like, and Dejanay is also under 30. So like we don't have to do this thing where we have to pretend like they don't have any young players. That's number one. Number two, the I think the biggest thing that's also been bothering me today that people have been saying is that like they were like, why would they trade their picks to Portland and the other new team, Toronto? Why would they trade their picks to them if they were ultimately gonna waive Haley and Maddie and all the things? Part one of that is we don't actually know if Maddie, or we could probably assume that HBL isn't coming back, but we don't know if Maddie or Aisha or even Latasha Lattimore, if any of them are coming back, because they still do have 2 developmental spots. Like there are still 2 players that can make their way to the Chicago Sky. But I think this is kind of a silly. I guess why they would do it, because if you waive a player, then another like if you have to waive the player, you give other teams an opportunity to, you know, offer those players a real contract, right? But also I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe they're gonna have to fix that in the future. Like, why should I, if I know I want to keep certain players on my team, why should I have to give them up? You know what I mean? Because then I feel like it kind of goes through this embarrassing process, right? Because like, if I was Chicago, I don't even have to postulate. It kind of went down to HBL Maddie, Latasha Lattimore, Toni Morgan, Aisha Coulibaly, and Sydney Taylor. You got 6 players when you really only you had 2 spots before you got Natasha Cloud, but you got her, so now you're kind of down to 1 spot. And that's even the assumption that you're going to keep Gabriella Hawkins because you just drafted her at number 5 pick. Actually, her contract is guaranteed, so you do need to keep her. So basically, you got 5 players for 1 spot. But it's like, if I know I want Aisha or Latasha or Toni or even Matt, like if I want any of them to actually be on my team and develop them with my young core, why should I have to let them go? What's like, now it's a risk. But I do think they made the right risk, because I feel like of those, like I think HBO will get some calls. Honestly, I think all of them have played well enough in the preseason to kind of show what skills that they have. Like their strengths and weaknesses, I do think were on full display in these preseason games. And I do think all of them are players who can find some time in the WNBA. Like, do I think they'll all be superstars? Absolutely not. But I do think that like this is some good bench talent. You know what I mean? And some of them I think could elevate to, elite role player. If we get back to my tears. So I think there's some good juice there, but I feel like of the 6 that you had, if you waived Sydney Taylor, you were definitely not getting her back. I'm also scared that waiving Aisha Coulibaly, you would not get her back either. But they kind of put themselves in a position when like they could have waived JC, but you traded for her, so you can't do that. You could have waived Rachel, but again, you made her sign her guaranteed money. And low key, it might have been safer for them to not have offered Rachel guaranteed money and just said, "Hey, we want you. We're gonna keep you. We're gonna cut you." Now that wouldn't even work because they would have still had to put them on. Yeah, it wouldn't even work that way. So regardless, they was gonna have to waive somebody, and I'm really hoping that Coulibaly is the one that they could get back. Because she looked good. She looked very good. Latasha looks, I don't know why I keep calling that girl Letitia. Latasha also looked good. I love the Tony minutes. Like I said, they've all played really well. And so I think they could all make their way back, and I would not be surprised if they get some calls. But saying that to say, why my original question was, why would Chicago protect Maddie, HBL, Sika, and Aisha, along with Angel and Camilla, from the expansion draft if they were ultimately going to waive them? And I kind of hate that y'all talk about things with hindsight. Like, I don't think the Chicago Sky expected Sydney Taylor to show up to training camp and play as well as she did. And if I was a betting woman, I would bet that had Sydney Taylor not looked the way she looked, HBL would still be on this roster. Because I think the people that they have there between Sloot, Skylar, and now Natasha Cloud, even Rachel Banham, like I think all four of them are players that HBL could learn from. It could be helpful for her finding her way into the W. I think right now she could. I think HBL is a good enough scorer to where she could, like that's obviously her skills. But I think if she could even get some of the foundations of defending or playmaking better, I think she can, find a place in a W. And I think those four people will sans Rachel. But Skylar, Natasha, and Sloot are also all three good people who know how to play make, but also Skylar especially know how to play off the ball. And I think that is a important balance that you need, especially as a small guard like HBL is. You need those skills. And so I do think Chicago is low key, like it would have been a really good place for her to learn, but she also is not going to get those reps. Like, because you have all those players in front of you, I mean, I guess sans Sloot, because you don't know how quickly she's returning. She needs the reps. And that kind of goes into the thing that I feel like I have to say every year, but the WNBA is absolutely about where you land more than than what number you're called. Because if you're going into a situation where you're not getting any reps, it's like low key it's doing you a disservice, really. Because it's not helping you develop the skills that you need to succeed ultimately. And yeah, it's just doing you kind of a disservice. And I know a lot of people are complaining about just excuse me. I know a lot of people are again they're complaining about, still protecting them. I think if Chicago had a better off season in 2020, in last season, if they had a better off season, I would almost be sure that Maddie and HBL wouldn't have made the team. They wouldn't have made the team. And HBL maybe, but Maddie probably wouldn't have made a team. And Aisha was injured, so you wouldn't even really got a chance to see her. So she would have stayed, but not really. What we have to keep talking about and have to keep saying is that like most of the second round picks don't last. And when I checked earlier today, there are 13 picks in the second round of the 2025 draft. And half of them, and that's tentative, not even half, 6 out of 13, so a little bit under half, tentatively will make a roster this season. Because, all rosters aren't figured out yet. So you don't know. Most teams, I don't feel like a lot of teams did a lot of cuts yet. And I'm not sure a lot of teams are even gotten down to their 12, but tentatively they might not even make the cut. So I think it's weird to keep saying stuff like, oh, well, Chicago should have, like I saw a tweet today where somebody was like, Chicago should have traded HVL instead of, they should have traded HVL if they decided they didn't want her. And my question to y'all is always, to who? Like, you can't saying that Chicago should have traded somebody or they should have picked up this person or whatever. If you're saying that stuff without any real ideas attached to them, then you're just talking. Because I agree. I think training camp changed absolutely everything for Chicago. And I think if you're going to say that they should have traded for her, who are they going to trade? And clearly, Chicago isn't in a place where they want more pieces, right? Like if they already have their pieces and they're trying to get rid of HBL, what you want to try to send them to Portland and ask them for a second round pick back? Because I can almost guarantee nobody wants to give up a first round pick for a player who didn't even get to play for real. Like we saw what HBL did in preseason. I think she looked a lot better than what she did last season. I think some of that, even she said it was being comfortable, but also being healed, and finding some confidence. She still hasn't actually played in the WNBA. Like we still actually haven't seen what she would actually look like if she's taking a step, if she can defend better, if she can make better. Like we haven't seen that happen. And so I think it's like disingenuous to be like, oh, well, they should have traded her. Trade her where, to who? And if we look around the league, like we really got to think about who is available to do what and what are you going to get? And it's funny because I feel like Portland is always my team that I'm like, well, just go do Portland because I feel like they are the least put together team. Like, I mean, they have their, I didn't watch a lot of the preseason games because frankly, I don't ever want to put too much stock into preseason. And really the first like month of the WNBA is low-key fake. So you can't put too much stock into it. I need to see y'all when it's locked in time. And some of the clips I've seen, Portland hasn't been great, but again, they're a team that's figuring it out. But even still, it's like Portland got a team full of girls in their training camp. Like, and that's not to say that HVO won't even end up there or there aren't teams that would want to bite on her and see how she's going to perform. However, that also doesn't mean that she's somebody they're dying to have. Because at the end of the day, like, I think if she was as highly touted as people are trying to portray her to be, Chicago would have just kept her, right? Like, they would have let Sydney, if HBL was that much better than Sydney Taylor, they would have let Sydney Taylor walk. Excuse me. Or if HBL rather fit into what Chicago wants to do better, like they would have let Sydney Taylor walk. And again, that doesn't mean HBL is a bad player, but I don't know. I just feel like we have to stop being like, oh, well, they should have traded her or they should have drafted somebody else. Because even the drafting somebody else, I had to go back and look at the draft. HBL was drafted at 11. People that went behind her were Isaiah James. Actually, let me pull it up. I don't need to like try to do it from my memory. And literally, when you Google WNBA draft, Haley Van Lith being waived is the first thing you see. That's kind of sick. Anyway, this is not. Where's the board? Oh, here we go. Haley Van Lith got drafted at number 11. People who went after her: Isaiah James, Aaliyah Nye, who is not on her original team, Madison Scott, not on her original team, Anastasia Kosu. We will see if she gets minutes in Minnesota this year, but I think she has a good chance because their whole team is different. Maddie Westbelt, Cheyenne Sellers, she not on the team. Tahina Powell, Michaela Timpson, Bree Hall. Breezy is not in the league. Sanaya, Aisha, Lucy, Delia Daniels, Rhea Marshall. Like, half of these people are not in the league, and then the other half, they don't really help Chicago's situation. And I get that there was always this conversation about I know there was always this conversation about like Tahina Powell, and I do think that Chicago should have taken Tahina. I am actually, like, back then I was actually kind of shocked that Dallas, Vegas, Minnesota, Golden State. Like, I was actually shocked that a lot of these teams passed on Tahina. But to my point of you need to fall where you need to fall. Tahina fell to a perfect situation. Atlanta didn't have a lot of space for rookies, but Carl Smeskoball is pulling threes, okay? And what does she do really well? Exactly. So that situation was meant for her. Versus a HBL, I think the idea of and we can't pretend to like Sloot getting injured didn't kind of mess things up. I mean, HBL had her own injuries, but we also cannot pretend like Sloot getting injured didn't kind of send a ripple effect through how Chicago went about everything. Because I know that they kind of started off. I know when people think about Chicago's season and when they think about like how they started off at the beginning, they either remember them getting blown out by 30 by Indiana, or they remember Angel not playing that well. And it's ironic because when I look back at those first 5 games, because I was like, everybody's been having a conversation about like, oh, Sloot is the GM and she's orchestrating everything. I think y'all are giving Sloot way too much power, but that's a different conversation for a different day. When I look back at that thing, it seemed like everybody besides, not everybody, but Camilla was doing pretty well. Rachel wasn't that bad. Like the box scores were, they needed a lot. They needed to play with a little bit more pace to kind of pick their offense up, but they weren't actually, the shooting splits weren't that bad. And they had already won, and they won 2 games with Sloot. So that's what I'm kind of like, they ended up winning 10 games last season. And they won 2 of them with Sloot. So I'm just kind of like, I feel like had they actually had the opportunity to like continue the season forward, they would have found a way. And I think they could have been a lot more successful than this season that we saw. And I think that would have actually given HBL an opportunity to play at the 2, but also learn how to play at the 1. But when you take Sloot out of that equation and you need a de facto point guard, and you have to get Rachel Banham to do that when that's not Rachel Banham's bag, and you got to kind of do it by committee, like, you're kind of, there's no way you can teach somebody like an HBL or give her the reps that she needs without, I guess, kind of folding on the season. Because at the end of the day, you also do need to make sure that your bigs are getting better. Like this team was designed around Angel and Camilla. And I know people, I don't really like talking about Angel because I feel like a lot of, I feel like the conversations around her get really distorted, especially when you talk about her scoring. It in particularly like when people talk about her going ISO. The one thing I will say here, going ISO does not mean that, like, I think I probably said this previously, but going ISO doesn't necessarily mean that like a play isn't being run for you. It also doesn't mean that like you did that on your own, right? Because like going in ISO requires like your teammates to give you space, and it requires specific positioning, like especially if you're going to be successful with it. So anyway, not to soapbox on that, but these teams are, the team was designed around your skyscrapers. So more than anything, you need to be putting them two in a position to get the reps that they need, and you need the pieces around them to be as efficient as possible. And with someone like an HBL, like that means you don't really have room for error. There's not a lot of room for, to be going in there and making bad passes and doing all of that, because in the WNBA, the margins to win are super thin. Like we watched all of last season. There weren't a lot of teams getting blown out. There obviously it comes with the game, but for the most part, it's thin. It's really, really thin. And so if you're a team that's trying to win, that's trying to make the playoffs, like you don't have time. You don't necessarily have the time for all of these players to be making the mistakes or to be kind of going through the growing pains at the same time. And should we whack Chicago for like not committing to a rebuild? Yeah, probably. But I also understand the idea of like, I want to put pieces around my young core to help them to kind of like take the load off a little bit, right? Like, and this is why we always say basketball is played in real life and not necessarily on paper, because some of the things that we theorize or put together we think might work and it doesn't end up actually working. And that happens all the time. It happened in Chicago last year. It happened in Dallas last year. It happened in Chicago in 2021. I mean 2022. It happened in the Indiana. It's happened everywhere, because things just don't always shake out the way that we envision them, even if we have the best scouting or whatever. So yeah, I understand the idea of wanting to put veterans around your young core, and I think that's what Chicago this season tried to do. Like, you have your core of Camilla, Rakia, Gabriela Jaquez, Azare, and JC. You have your young core, but you also will have Skylar and Natasha Cloud and Rachel Banham and Ewell, people who've been in the league a long time, and maybe contrary to popular belief, who've been in winning situations. Like they know how to win. They know what they've been in winning situations. They've been on championship teams. They've led teams in playoffs. Like, you want to be able to kind of help them put your younger players in a position to like know what to do in the next step. But the balance of that is also giving your young core the autonomy to make the mistakes and kind of run through it, and Yeah, people are absolutely calling them old just to flame them. Mostly because the guard room is old, and this is something that I'm actually going to make a video about or a graph or whatever once I do finish the research. Um, but I was talking to one of my co-hosts earlier, and I was telling him that I feel like if camera, please. I was telling him that if you bruh, don't make me mad. I was telling him that if you have a young guard room, you're likely not to make the playoffs. Like that was my assertion. And when I started to look at each team and like just thinking about the average age of the teams that made the playoff, the average age of the backcourts of the teams that made the playoffs, it starts to be real clear that like, yeah, you want to go young and you want to develop woo, but if your star point guard is not like a star player, like they're not a generational talent. I know I said we need to stop using that word, but if they're not one of them, the odds of them making the playoffs as the head of the snake is really low. Like even thinking about Golden State last year, like they played well for the most part. They made the playoffs, right? In honor, but they got to the playoffs and got their head beat in. Is it all Veronica Burton's fault? Not necessarily. I think she played well regardless. However, she was the head of that snake, and they needed her to take a step and to make some different decisions. And she's never been in that position. You know, this is also her first time leading a team. So it didn't really go over well for them. Like, if you really think about it, like Connecticut last year, they kind of got fun. Like Layla Lacan is a little bit. No, I think Layla is only like 26, but their guard room, stupid young. Like, I mean, they had Bria Hartley, but she wasn't like the star of their team. So there is pretty young. The only player that's kind of the only team that's sort of the outlier here, just off of, again, I haven't researched this fully, but I will be creating a thesis. The only team that kind of got away with this having a young guard room is the Phoenix Mercury. And the Phoenix Mercury have Alyssa Thomas. And that throws off the whole, not the whole argument, but she is a player that like shifts your offense completely. So um that just so that's different. But for the most part, everybody else, they had seasoned people in them guard rooms. So yeah, I do think that yeah, we want to while we want to, you know, I think while the idea of having a young point guard is cool, unless you're legitimately committed to a rebuild, like we're going to be bad the next couple of seasons, I don't know if that's the approach you take. And you got to think about it again, their stars are now, even now, the stars of Chicago are Rikia and Camilla. Neither one of them are guards. So like it's not even like you need to really give them on ball reps to like be initiating offense and things like that. You need to be able to get them the ball in good positioning. So I don't know if you want to be having I don't know if you want to have a young guard trying to get your young post players, your young wings, like putting them in positions. It's hard. We can even a great example is Ryan Howard. Like Ryan has had to play like this point guard role, and it's been, you know, it's made some of her teammates thrive, but it's definitely affected her game. It's deeply affected her game. And so it'll be interesting and fun to see how they work that out. But yeah, kind of back to Chicago. I want to see how all the pieces on Chicago will look. Some of the main players are coming out injuries. That's the other thing that I'm interested with Chicago, and that's why I need them to finish writing the CBA, because I think it'll be okay. I obviously Sloot and Dejanay and Azare, I don't expect them to be available. Probably, I don't know if Sloot really gonna be available in May at all. Honestly, I don't expect any of the three of them, maybe Azare, to be available up until probably, June. But I'm curious to see how this works, because now that you have 12 roster spots plus 2 developmental spots, does that mean that like we're not getting hardship players anymore? Like, are we not doing the 7-day contracts? Is there like an emergency? Like, is there emergency personnel? You know what I mean? Like, do you suspend? Are they suspending Dejanay and Sloot temporarily, kind of like how previously in previous CBAs, like for example, Cheyenne was pregnant, they suspended her contract, so she didn't technically take up a roster spot. I mean, she took up a roster spot, but not technically. Like they were able to pay somebody else and go over the cap. They were able to go over the cap. So, like, how is that happening? Especially with the 2 developmental spots, because those players are capped at 12 games. So it's like you either have to move them to the main roster, but it's like, can you move them back? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say Sloot is out until June. Sloot's out to July, and you need Sydney Taylor to play these games. What, you know what I'm saying? And Sydney Taylor has to play 15 games. Can she not go back to the developmental spot? Like, I don't know. They need to figure this out. They need to finish writing the CBA, because like that's super unclear to me, and like I don't understand how you really can roster build without knowing that, without really knowing that. And yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do that, and I need them to figure it out, because I don't. Injuries, obviously, we don't ever want any team to get injured, but they're absolutely a part of the sport, and so like, what are we doing in these instances? Especially too, because like if one of your development players are like forwards, right, and your guards get injured, like, can I just not call somebody extra? Like, I don't know. That is honestly has been bothering me for days, because I'm like, how don't we know that information yet? And honestly, the CBA should have been done. I mean, I don't know, y'all. That's just too crazy to me. But anyway, what was it? What else about Chicago was I gonna say? Oh God, men be so evil. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Chicago. What else did I want to say about them? I talked about the limited roster spots. I talked about the team not being that old. I talked about. I didn't get into it, but again, I do think y'all giving Sloot way too much credit for how she operating that team, or how the team is being operated. What do I think of the Dream? You know, what do I think of the Dream? So on my podcast, actually, we talked about the idea of Angel joining the team kind of last year. I wasn't a fan of the idea, mostly because I thought they would have to give up Naz and Tahina. But now that they get to keep Naz and Tahina, I do like Angel to the Dream a lot more. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of Angel playing the 5. I think she defends well enough, like on a perimeter, and she's not a bad interior defender either. I think she defends well enough where I think it could work. But I'm curious to see how it's going to work in long stretches. I'm also curious to see if what they again kind of do about the point guard thing. Jordan Canada needs to be healthy. Like, she needs to be healthy this season. Like, we can't really. She's healthy. Did she not? We can't do that this year. She do need to be available, because we do need to see Atlanta a little bit. We do need to see the version of Atlanta where Ryan gets to play actually off ball as a wing, because I see a lot of people always talking about Ryan well, I know it's because the past 2 seasons, Ryan always has to get the ball late in the shot clock, so she is very often chucking up threes. But before this, Ryan used to drive to the basket. Okay, she used to pop that midi a little bit. And I think she can get back to that. It really, I think that it changes Atlanta if she gets back to that. But I think she needs to have the space and a little bit less of the responsibility. And I do think Angel helps with that because, you know, in Chicago, we saw her initiate the offense and um, be able to bring the ball up the court and stuff. And so I think having Angel being able to do that will help a lot. And I also think, well, maybe not a lot, but I think it will help. And I think it'll give them a different look because I think it'll take a little bit of pressure off Ryan. But we're gonna have to see about the initiation. I do think they'll try to play a lot faster. I watched the Dream play. Who did they play? I watched them play the first half of Chicago. I thought they played well, and I kind of liked some of the like offensive stuff they were trying to do. So I think I shouldn't be as hesitant about Angel playing the 5. But I will say too that Medina has looked great, guys. It is so funny because obviously, like I'm a South Carolina fan, right? So I've watched Medina pretty much the whole year, and for that lady, the way she was going up against Lauren in that Mystics game, I said, "Girl, why was you doing this 6 weeks ago? Like that, the score in the national championship would look so much different if you had just played like this." I don't. She's been playing with like no fear, like no weight on her shoulder. Like I don't know what the Dream told her in that training camp, but she eating. And so really that actually helps them a lot because I think I don't know if I see her still playing like a ton of minutes, but if you can get Medina in there, play like 10 minutes, especially while Bree's still out, play like 10, maybe 15 minutes while Bree's out, have Angel oscillating between the 4 and the 5. Both of them are like rebounding machines. There is something there. But yeah, the offense though, I feel like the offense will either look really good or really bad. I don't know if there's going to be any in between for Atlanta, at least in the first month of the year. I don't know. But I'm hopeful for them. I'm hopeful for them because I do think that they have I do think they have good pieces, and I do think because they were able to keep most of their team, sans BG, but BG didn't really contribute enough to me anyway. And I'm very shocked that I shouldn't say I'm shocked, but I'm laughing at the fact that she went to Connecticut and was like, I'm not an old hoe and I can still hoop. And she seemed like she being serious. And I'm just like, girl, you could have been like, had you been serious in Atlanta, they might have not lost in the first round. Anyway. So yeah, long story short, I think the Dream will be good. I do have them as a top 5 seed, potential championship contender. I definitely expect them to win at least a playoff series. So I do expect them to get to the semifinals. Yeah, the semifinals. So I have high expectations of them, but like they're not super high, I should say. Who else did I want to talk about? Thanks for the question, by the way. The Fever. We talk about my kids. Raven Johnson. I won so bad, y'all. Like Raven Johnson is on the Fever, and she has looked so good. Again, I don't want to overreact about preseason basketball because it's preseason, and besides Dallas, I feel like everybody has been kind of unserious. Yeah, outside of Dallas, I feel like everybody's been a little bit unserious. So I'm not putting too much stock into things we've seen, but Raven's ability to defend at a high level is translating immediately. And that is the one thing that I think the Fever needs her to do from day one. Also, I know people tried to give Caitlin Clark credit for Raven throwing these like crazy outlet passes. She did not get that from Caitlin, y'all. I do need to say that she did not get that from Caitlin. Raven has been making those passes, and if you don't believe me, you can go back to that season with the season they won a national championship, the 2023-2024 season. Because that's the way Raven was getting Camilla the ball. Camilla started running, Raven just was throwing it. And but that is also, but Raven's ability to do that is exactly why I thought she would be a perfect fit for Indiana. She can defend. She's not afraid to make a pass. She started to take some shots too, like her catch and shoot, her ability to catch and shoot at in South Carolina, like I think those were some of her best shots. And now, like those are all the things that Indiana needs. I know people have been saying like weird things about like Indiana, the players that Indiana has brought into training camp between like Mo Billings and Maisha Hines-Allen and Shatori Walker Kimbrough. I mix up her last name every time. But the real truth is that Indiana only needed to get better on the margins. And Aaliyah, Caitlin, and Kelsey, they have to do the heavy lifting. They will be doing the heavy lifting. Like most of our shots should come between the three of them. And I will say I gotta give Caitlin her 10s because last year she would be so lazy when she was off the ball. And I know people were against that, but I'm not. You need to, like, we need a way to get you in easier shots, but we also need a way to get everybody else involved. And sometimes, you know, Kelsey Mitchell does need the ball in her hand to make a shot, to go in a little bit of ISO. Like sometimes somebody else has to have the ball and you can't just be standing on the sidelines, like not participating. So I've enjoyed some of the stuff we've seen in preseason and her ability to actually like screening and just like being engaged and moving around. So I'm excited to see how that works. Aaliyah Boston pulling some threes. Can't wait for that. Oh, that's gonna be so fun, I think. I'm not really worried about Mo Billings at all. I know people were talking about her ability to make layups, but I think she's been a lot better in transition. And I'm only really scared of her like shooting mid ranges. I don't think she will, but that's the shot where I'm like, girl, I don't know. But we don't really need her to take those shots. And that's also Caitlin expanding her range. Like I know she has a floater. I know she can make a layup. I know she has these shots in her bag because I watched her shoot them at Iowa. So like let's use them. Yeah, let's use what's in the bag. So yeah, I'm excited about the Fever. They're also a top 5 team to me. I do expect them to win a playoff series. Aces, Las Vegas. As another, I think the Aces will be championship or bust as long as they have Chelsea, Jackie, Asia. That trio can do a lot. But kind of what I was saying earlier, I think the margins are really thin. And so I'm interested to see how really what they do in the non-Asia minutes, especially earlier in the year. I think over the past like 3 to 4 years, we've been seeing Asia ball get crazier and crazier. And Asia is the best player in the world, don't get me wrong, but that's not a sustainable way to play basketball. And I think they have, I think while Chelsea and Jewel are kind of on the back half of their careers, I still think there's still some talent there. So there to me is some expectation of them to actually like contribute and contribute effectively. And I I think they need to find a balance of that. Chelsea has to come out into the season ready to do the assist thing. Like she has to be ready to set the table, and Jewel gotta. I don't know if she's gonna do the like I'm gonna come off the bench thing, and I think it helped her a lot mentally. So if I was Becky, yeah, girl, go back to the bench. You still gonna play 25 minutes, but if you need to start on the bench, that's cool. Kennedy is the interesting piece here because she is a slasher, and low key that's what they need. Like they needed somebody to kind of to attack the rim, especially since they lost Kelsey Plum. Like they've needed somebody to attack the rim, and they just really don't have that. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Kennedy helps improve that, but also the defense has kind of been, I don't want to say their Achilles heels, but it has been where they've struggled the most. And I think they're gonna have to figure that out because Jackie, like, yeah, she's taking a lot of defensive assignments, but I think we saw a lot of stretches of her kind of struggling because the load got heavier and she was trying to play make and she's trying to score, she's trying to defend the best player. It's like that's a lot really for Asia and Jackie to kind of carry. So they're gonna have to figure out some sort of defense. Because Kennedy isn't a great defender. Dana's usually decent, but she's also injured right now. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that. Stephanie Talbot, like everybody on their team is a little slow. They're a little bit on the older side. They are a little bit slow. So I am curious to see how Becky handles that. Because I do think too, like they started their win streak last season. Like they were bad on offense. Like they were really bad on offense pre their 15-game win streak, but they were also really bad on defense. And once they locked the defense in, like obviously they weren't a perfect defensive team, but like once they got better on defense, the offense kind of naturally came. And so I'm hoping that they start the season off on a better foot defensively. And I think they can. Like I haven't checked the numbers yet, and that's another thing that I want to look into, like the continuity among teams. But I think they are probably the team with the most returners. They got everybody except Kia, Aaliyah Nye. Like they have pretty much their core and the people who helped them win the championship. So I'm expecting them to be a top 2 seed. Really, I'm expecting them to be number 1, and I'm going to allow them to be number 1 because they're the championship. I don't care what New York doing over there. I'm expecting them to be number 1, top 3 at minimum. And I think they can do it, but We'll see. We'll see. They can be stressful to watch sometimes, but I think they'll figure it out. Man, it being an hour already is crazy. I totally missed that. Let's see if I missed some comments. That is so funny. Okay. Oh, the wings. Honestly, I walked into the season not being a believer of the wings. Actually, before I even really talk about the wings, I'm not gonna say I'm a Chris Cooklandish truther because that just feels too strong. And I do think the man had his flaws, but I'm not gonna lie. If I was him, I would be whacking Kurt for the rest of his life because you gave me a team with Dejanay Carrington, Paige Arike, Dejanay Carrington, excuse me, Alyssa Smith, and Mike Shines Allen as my starting five. Like, you expected me to win a playoff game or to get to the playoffs with those as your starting five. And now, three of them are not even on your team. I would, if I was Chris, I would be cussing Kurt out for the rest of my life. Because, like, what are you talking about? And now you hire Jose Fernandez. He seems like a good coach. And honestly, I do appreciate now. Before, I was kind of whacking him because they kept asking him like about his offense and things that he was hoping to see out of the offense and what he expected Paige, Arike, and AZ, how he expected them to play together. And he was giving these very vague, very like, yeah, like we'll kind of see when they get here kind of thing. But now we got a little bit more clarity that we've seen them. And we kind of seen the stuff that he's done. I do think it's funny. People kept Dallas had Dallas had a lot of problems last season. Like they had a front court problems, they had shooting problems, they had defense problems. They had a lot of things that they needed to address. And honestly, I don't think one draft was really going to be the answer to solve all of their problems. However, I don't like they went and got Atlanta Smith, who is the depoy from last season, but I don't know if they got better defensively. And that is concerning to me. The offense looks cool. I love that AZ is taking the shots that she's being given. The offense seems a little bit simplified, really. And so offensively, they kind of moving me a little bit. I initially thought that they would be honestly, I thought they would be like a 10 seed. Jump me. But like now, I don't agree with the idea that I feel like a lot of people have been putting them like top 5. I'm not there yet, but I could see like 7. I could see 7. I feel more confidently that they could make the playoffs than I did a week ago. So Dallas will be interesting to me. Also, we haven't seen them with Arike, so I'm curious how that works. I am a Parike truther, okay? And honestly, the way that the offense seems to be set up right now, I kind of feel like Arike can come in and it'll like I don't feel like she needs to disrupt enough because I think a lot of the issues, the issues that previously Dallas has previously the issues that Dallas previously had, in particular in relation to Arike's production, is when the going got tough, the teams played Arike save us ball, and that's just not good business. That's not a good way to play. And I think this past season, at least when Paige and Arike was on the floor, I think they were both doing this song and dance of like, okay, like you do it, no, you do it, like no, you do it. And so I think hammering out this like real hierarchy of like, this is our first option, this is our second option, this is our third option, I think is going to help. I think it's going to help them now, and they have a year of that under their belt. So I think they'll be able to play a little bit more seamlessly together. Again, it kind of comes back to the defense, but Arike played really good defense in that 2023 season. Was it 2023? The season with my girl with the bob. My girl with the bob who be crying all the time. The Dallas coach with the bob. What is her name? Well, she got fired, obviously, but she's on Chicago's bench now. What is her name? Her name is not Latasha, but I don't know why I want to call her that. What is that lady's name? Why can I not remember her name for real? That's actually crazy. Latricia Trammell. That's why I thought it was Latasha. Latricia Trammell. That 2023 season with Coach Trammell's first season, Arike was playing decent defense. Okay, they made their playoffs. They beat Atlanta in the playoffs. They obviously lost to the Aces, who ended up being the champions. So I feel like there was something good there. They were 8th in defensive rating, but that's how you know the margins are so thin, because they were still a plus. They were still like top 4. If they could just, if Dallas could just be top half of in defense, I think we could. I think they have something there. So I think they'll be fun to watch. I think they'll ultimately be fun. Mm. I don't know how people do this. My mouth's so dry. Whew. Are the Knicks winning right now? Damn. They beating the hell out of them. And Jalen Brunson and Paul George are still the leading scorers from when I checked. Hilarious. Yeah, 76ers really gave us nothing. Jalen Brunson had 27 points, 10 and 16. Cat had 17, 6 and 6. Period King. OG. Oh, it's still the third quarter. Oh, girl. Wrap this up. They down by 28. don't know. Joelle is 3 for 11. Tyrese Maxey is 3 for 9. With 4 turnovers, please, King. Josh Hart having 6 turnovers. I'm closing my eyes. Billy, I'm still believing in you, unfortunately. The Spurs are leading the Timberwolves 17-14. Rudy Gobert has 6 points and 7 rebounds with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Why is Rudy Gobert the leading scorer right now? That is really funny. Oh, they actually let Anthony Edwards play. Who else up in here? Jaden McDaniels, 6 points. Mike Conley got 3 assists. Not bad. Wemby. Damn. Spurs having a rough shooting night. Well, not from 3, but I guess. Good Lord. Stephon Castle has 7 points and 4 rebounds. De'Aaron Fox, I need you to find it, baby. I need you to find it. You've been fighting for your life, King. And I really want better for you. I want so much better for you. I do think Timberwolves are going to win that series. I'd love to be wrong, but I probably won't be. Who play tomorrow? Cavs, Pistons, Lakers, Thunder. Thunder, yeah. I actually don't know between Cavs, Pistons. I think I don't know. The Pistons sent home the Magic, so it's like I kind of want to root against y'all, but also I don't know. I don't really have a dog in the fight. It might actually be fun because Cade and Donovan. I don't know why I couldn't think of what his name was first for a second. They seem like it's kind of like a little fun little matchup. So we'll see. Did they beat them in the regular season? Let me go see if I can see it on the NBA app. Or what their record look like, or what their series look like. Candy Rain is stuck in my head. And I don't know where I heard that song at. Okay, it doesn't show you previous matchups. That's weird. I kind of low-key hate the NBA app, which is also making me hate the WNBA app because why are y'all making them the same? They suck. I still can't believe Sydney Taylor was on that Louisville team that got upset. I really remember watching that game. Olivia Cochran was just giving it her all. Crazy. Time really does fly. Also, Fever for Office, if you see this, we should I would be willing. I don't think Shatori or Maisha were bad pickups at all. I think, especially Maisha, they can be useful in like specific matchups and situations. But I would be willing to give them up for Dulcie or Amy Okonkwo. They're both young bigs that there's a vision there. I see them. Like Dulcie's numbers for her rebounding don't jump off the page, but I know that lady can rebound. Okay. I remember watching her in that 2023 Seattle season. That was actually one of my favorite Seattle teams, even though they were so bad. And I think honestly, this year's Seattle team is gonna reinvent that feeling. Like I expect them to be disgustingly bad. However, I think they will be so fun. So I will be locking into Seattle just for a little bit. But Dulcie back in that season, there was a vision there. I saw something there. And I think we can make something work. Also, Amy Okonkwo, her last season, those like that stint she had in Dallas, I was moved. And I'm curious because Dallas also waived. Let me go look at their list. Nobody's been whacking them for all the people they've been waiving either. But, whatever. They waived. Dallas has waived. Let me see if I remember. They waived Grace Berger, Amy Okonkwo, Cheyenne Sellers, Verona. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Dulcie, Rhea Marshall, Lindsay Allen, Grace Sullivan, Z Spearman, and Kyla Odecker. Most of these people I kind of expected them to waive, but I'm really curious to see who they bring back. Let me count, see how many they actually got now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12. Oh, they have 12. They've gotten down to 12. So I'm curious to see who they try to bring back. I'm really excited too that JJ Quinterly actually potentially made the opening day roster. I was kind of scared just given her injury and to see if they would actually like keep her or not. But I'm excited for my girl. I wonder who they bring back. If I was them, obviously I would want to bring back Amy. I want to bring back Amy and Dulcie, but I don't know if they actually like Dulcie. But those would be the two that I would want to bring back. I also am interested that they're committed to the Lee Yuru experience. I don't think Lee Yuru is a bad player or anything, but she kind of struggled defensively. And I know that's why they got Atlanta, but like Atlanta Smith can't be your only answer defensively. I guess Jess Shepard too, but like, is Jess Shepard really that great of a defender? I don't know. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that. So we'll see who I'm serious. I'm interested to see who they bring back as their 2 picks. Anybody else waive anybody interesting? I think Phoenix Phoenix has waived Maggie, Yarden Garzon, Shea Zazeki, Morgan Molly, Asia Shepard, Jamie Nard, Jillian Aileen. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm overthinking how to say her name. Which means that they might be keeping Cara Dunn, and I think they should keep Cara Dunn. I am still on the train of people that was like, Cara Dunn should have been drafted. Like, I just still don't understand how that lady did not get drafted. That is a conspiracy to me we need to all look into. But I do hope she makes the Phoenix training camp, like their opening day roster, because I think she's good enough. And I also think she kind of fits into what Phoenix wants to do. in terms of shooting. She's not like a real slasher, but she can definitely do a lot of catching and shooting. Not a bad defender. Um, it'll be interesting. I think she could learn a little bit from DeWanna Bonner. So it'll be fun. Hopefully she makes it. I don't know what Connecticut is doing. They waived Teray, and I don't understand why she got waived. Maybe people are just not as high on her as I am, but I just think that like she's kind of legit. Like she was good last year. I liked her in all of the stints that she got to play in. Like I was actually shocked that Golden State waived her, or they didn't waive her. They picked her up for a hardship, but that they didn't try to bring her back. Like I thought she was good. I think they waived. Um, Connecticut is waived. Harmony. Wait, who did they waive? Harmony, Teray. Let me go to their page real quick. Connecticut Sun. Kyla Odeaker, Harmony Turner, and Teray. Mina? Are those the first people that they've waived? Interesting. They invited 17 people to camp. That's 3. Oh, they're down to 14. Reagan Beers is going to make this team. Interesting. We're monitoring that situation. We are monitoring that. We will monitor that situation because I don't know. I thought Reagan Beers would be somebody who would get drafted, but I don't know. But Madison Hayes potentially making the team would make me really happy. I do think that she is a player who could find their way to the W. So it's I'm excited. Hopefully they keep her. Also, her and Sanaya play really well together at North Carolina State. So this is good for them. I'm happy for her. Sparks haven't really made any cuts. We talked about the Fever. We talked about the Aces. They waived Jordan Obi. I'm not surprised by it, but kind of wanted her to make the team. The Valkyries, they've waived. Oh, the Valkyries waived Martha Suarez, and I feel like they got whacked enough for that, because trading back, picking Flau'jae, then trading her to Seattle for Martha Suarez to only waive Martha Suarez is absolute insanity. That's insanity. I didn't really want to comment on it because I was trying to see if maybe they waived her in a hopes of like we're gonna sign her back in a developmental spot, but I don't think she's doing that. I don't think they're keeping any of the rookies or young players that they've signed. Which like they don't get whacked for having an old team. Like I don't know. I don't like. I'm not trying to drag them too much because I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I don't think I like that. And the jury's still out. They still have 24 more hours before to see if Martha Suarez clears waivers. So I'm watching closely. But when that time has passed, I will be making a tweet. The Mystics, I think the Mystics are just having a good time. And I'll say this here. I don't know if I'm going to say it anywhere else, so y'all will hear it first. Raven Johnson is my first like rookie of the year pick. Lauren Betts is immediately after. immediately after. So Threads is such a weird place. I'm not getting into it, but they be weird over there. What was I about to look up? Oh, the Mystics. Let me see if they waived anybody. I think they waived. I know they waived Maya Hollingshed and Kamaria McDaniel, which I really think Maya Hollingshed has a place in the WNBA. I don't know why she's not sticking yet. I know she didn't get to play either. I think she had something going on. But like the people need to see her. Like I think she has something there. It's Cody's birthday today. Happy birthday, Cody. Brother, have they really not waived? No, I know they waived. I know they waived McDaniel and Hollingshed, but they're the only people that they waived. And Twitter function is so broke. Like, oh my God. Can't even. So I'll be trying to tweet out all the stuff so I know that I put it somewhere. Anyway, I think they only waived them too. They still have a lot of fun players to kind of get through. And I'm not gonna lie, I do like that they've decided to just go all in on the young talent. I don't think it's gonna be that way forever, but I will enjoy it while it lasts. Stretch, stretch big beers, please, please, please. She learning that from goddamn Brittany Grinder, big damn guard. Gross. Bring back real centers. I'm not getting on that. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about that either, but I'm watching. Seattle, they already waived Jaylen Brown, and I think Eladine and Taina Mayer. I can't believe they waived Taina. A lot of people did not. I'm finding out too that a lot of people did not like Taina. Like they thought that she was a bad pick for Seattle, and I just, not to be like a homer for a second, but I don't think she was a bad pick for them. Like, she's a young PG. You know, she can create her shot a little bit. She knows how to play with bigs. She just played the entire season getting the ball to my girl Toby Fournier. Like, she knows, she defends. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that was a good pick. So did they waive Grace Van Sluten? I'm gonna look and see. I know they waived Jaylen Brown, the younger Jaylen Brown. Seattle. They had to make 7 cuts. Well, excluding 5 cuts, not including the developmental spots. Go out and dance like we used to dance. And go out and hold hands. Okay, so they only waived. No, Patrice and Jalen, but then they waived. They didn't make Tiana a post. Am I about to start a conspiracy that they are going to sign her back? Am I about to start a rumor? Because they didn't send her a thank you post. See, now I got to monitor the situation to see if they actually do or not. Hold on. Them other three got thank you posts. Monitoring the situation. The Minnesota Lynx is a team that I have not really watched. I don't know what they finna do. Every clip I've seen of Olivia Miles, she feels like classic Olivia Miles. So I don't know what they're gonna look like. I actually was more convinced a week ago that they would make the playoffs. Right now, I'm not quite sure anymore. I still think they could be like between 8 and 11. But they scaring me. I don't know. I guess Kayla McBride. Has Kayla played? I don't think Kayla's played. I know they waived Lainey White, Aubrey Griffin, Amaya Battle, Jade, Rashaya Kyle, Sakima Reagan. They invited 22 people to camp. 22 minus 7. Okay, so they're at 15. Oh! So I only gotta make like one for real cut. And I think they're keeping both of the girls from the Emma and Aliska. I think they're both from. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I would think they were from Turkey, but I think I'm lying if I say that. Ooh, so Liatu King could make this roster. You telling me Liatu and Jalen Sherrod actually might make this roster. I fear. I don't know who Antonia is. I didn't really watch them, so I don't know. But Jalen Sherrod possibly making this roster is good for me. Has Portland waived anybody? I don't think they made any cuts, which is so interesting. I was kind of whacking their coach because he's a random man from the NBA. But he might be onto something a little bit. Oh, they did waive Peyton Williams, I think. No, I'm lying. That's not them. That's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Paige Robinson. She got cut from somewhere, and somebody picked her up. I don't remember who it was. She got cut from Atlanta. I don't think Portland's made any cuts. Atlanta, they had 19. They've cut now. Layla, Sasha. I feel like they cut 3 people. Was it Bella? I thought they might have kept Sasha though. She looked kind of decent for them. But if they cut 3, that means they had 16, so they still got 2 more cuts to go through. I think they're gonna keep Sika likely. If I had to guess, it's probably gonna be Stephanie Jones. Oh, I guess they've cut 4, so they might be at 15. Or maybe Paige Robson is the 3rd that I missed. I don't know. New York. Bro, New York, I'm on y'all because they cut Peyton they did cut Peyton Williams. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what Atlanta's doing either. Because I feel like they want Medina to play. Bree Jones gonna be out. But again, this is why I need to finish that CBA because I need to know what that means. Because if I was them, I would probably keep. I think they probably want Isabel to play. I don't know about this Matit person. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I don't think they've come over yet. But I don't know, I probably would have kept Sasha. I kind of like them. India Navarre actually didn't cut her yet either. So I think she low-key could get that developmental spot. I'd like that. I don't know. New York, though, I'm on y'all head because this is actually a good thing. They let Nasira Pryor play. I think she played a good amount of minutes in that preseason game against the Fever. And I didn't think she looked bad. I thought she looked decent. Like, decent enough for, like, training camp spot. For a developmental spot. But they started with 19. They've already cut Ashley Owusu, Nasira. Are those the only two they cut? Nah, I gotta look. Cause if those are the only two they cut, I'm about to start a conspiracy. And we about to pull out a paper bag because what's tea? New York Liberty. Honestly, I hate that their jerseys are fire. I really hate that for me. I hate that for me. You should go out and hold hands. Yeah, they only waved them two. See, I'm about to start a conspiracy. They still gotta make. They have 17 people left, so they still gotta make at least 3 cuts. 3 real cuts, and then 2 more for the developmental spots. I'm curious who they're gonna make it. I did like the Paulina girl, Pauline Astier. I thought she was pretty good. I really enjoyed her minutes. The rest of these people I have. Also, Raquel. Actually, they need to cut Raquel. They need to cut her so that Indiana can go get her. Because she is the next person that needs to be at my franchise, actually. So let's go ahead and cut Raquel, and let her free. Let her be free. Yeah. That's what they need to do. All right. I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. I don't even know if I did, but I'm actually tired of talking now. This was fun. The pod comes back. The pod comes back on Wednesday, May 20th. So in like 2 weeks. Next week I said I would go live until the pod came back. That's probably not gonna be true next week. I got stuff to do. I don't know. I might though. We'll see. We'll see how I feel next Wednesday. But yeah, the pod comes back in a couple of weeks. Obviously, like, subscribe, follow the pod, follow me, leave comments and stuff. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And yeah, we'll come back